This is the Bradley and Alec Show. Tonight, we're going to go over our top 5 players for the 2025 college football season. Underhyped and overhyped teams, and much more. Let's get right into it. And Bradley, I will let you go first with your top 5.
My top 5, I have, I've got a bunch of them, so let me go through and pick the 5. I'm going to start with, and I hate to be a homer, being that I'm in SEC country, but I'm going to go with wide receiver Ryan Williams out of Alabama. Pretty good last year, 865 receiving yards, 48 receptions, 8 touchdowns, and 120 yards, punt return yards with 2 rushing touchdowns. So he'll be a big part of what's going on in Tuscaloosa this year. So he is there. The next one would be Jeremiah Love, the running back for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Guys, the Notre Dame was in the national championship game last year. And he was a big reason why they were there. He had 1,125 rushing yards on 163 carries, 17 touchdowns, 237 receiving yards. I have Jacob Rodriguez, the linebacker from Texas Tech. He had 127 tackles, 77 solo, 10.5 sacks, 10.5 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. I have Jaden Baugh, the running back for the Florida Gators. Last year, it's 673 rushing yards, 133 carries, 7 touchdowns, 11 kick returns, 237 yards. And the last one, I'll be another running back, Le'Veon Moss, running back from the Texas A&M Aggies. 765 rushing yards, 121 carries, 10 touchdowns, 10 receptions, 141 yards. Those are my top 5. I had a whole list, but those are the 5 that stood out to me on the list that I had. That I had.
My top 5. Number 5 is a guy that used to play at the University of Tennessee, but got run out of there because of his performance in their college football playoff game. And I think Bradley knows who I'm talking about.
Nico?
Yep. And
Guys, I think Alec just lost. He's been having issues with his internet. If my voice sounds funny, guys, I have a bad cold. I'm in the midst of having a cold, so I apologize. I'll wait for Alec to come back.
as I was saying, I think Nico in UCLA is going to work. Let me just transfer everything back over to because we had number 4 player to watch. Wide receiver, Mylon Graham. Yes, I know he's lower on the depth chart for Ohio State, but he should see a lot of playing time because Ohio State tends to rotate in wide receivers, and he's been really turning heads in spring ball, and I feel like he's going to have a big year. Number 3, Austin Simmons from Ole Miss. Yes, he's replacing Jackson Dart, who's now in the NFL. And we saw him in very limited reps last year. But I feel like Austin Simmons is about to have a generational season for Ole Miss. Number 2, yes, I know he got some playing time last year at Texas, but he's the starter this year. It is Arch Manning. And number 1, I went with another Texas player. It is Colin Simmons, who everybody's saying, oh, he's the next coming of J.J. Watt. I feel like that's just a tad bit of a stretch. But yes, Colin Simmons should be a player that you should be keeping an eye on for 2025. And our next segment, and again, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the little internet interruption there. I think, fingers crossed, I think we have, at least on my end, I don't know about Bradley's, but I think we have the internet figured out.
Yes.
So, why don't you give them your 5 most underhyped teams for 2025?
My 5 are number 5, SMU. SMU Mustangs is number 5. Number 4 is Texas Tech. Number 3 is Indiana. Number 4 is BYU. And number 1 is Arizona State.
Oh, I didn't even think of Indiana. I went a totally different route. And one of them's kind of a homer pick, but it's not. It's not the team you think of. It's not Ohio State. I will say mine in a second once I get my camera situated. If it decides that it wants to. Let's see if I can get this back to it. Okay, there we go. I think we're back in business now. So my 5. Let's see. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the technical difficulties we've had today. But number 5 is the team you see on my hat, Virginia Tech. And the narrative I've heard the entire offseason is, oh, everybody's given up. Everybody's given up on Virginia Tech. Nobody's picking them to win the ACC because they've lost a lot of production. Yes, they did lose a lot on defense, but they got their quarterback coming back. They got a new offensive coordinator, and I feel like they're prime. They're in the same spot Georgia Tech's in. And the only reason I didn't put Georgia Tech on here is because I kind of sort of believe in Georgia Tech more than I do Tech. Because the problem we saw with Virginia Tech last year was one of them week 1. They played Vanderbilt, lost. And yes, you can't put all the blame on the fact that they struggled because they didn't have their starting quarterback. But Kyron Jones is back, new offensive coordinator. That's number 5. Number 4 is the Florida Gators. And I feel like all the hype right now in the SEC is around Alabama, Texas, Ole Miss, Tennessee, which makes both of us sick.
I think Tennessee's going to have a down year this year. I hope Josh Heupel and company do that, but that's just me. That's because I'm a hater. So.
But I like the way the Gators ended last season. But I need to get this off of my shoulders. Florida fans, and I'm not Bradley. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about everybody else in the Florida in the Gator fan base. Stop doing your predictions and saying you're gonna beat USF 42-10.
I don't think it's going to be.
I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
If they beat USF, it won't be a blowout. USF is a lot better team than. And think about this: a few years ago, USF almost beat them. I was there, and USF almost beat them.
Yeah,
so, and that was with Anthony Richardson at quarterback. Just throwing that out there. So.
Yeah. So that's number 4. Number 3, and I just talked about Nico. It is UCLA. Did you just? We will get to that later on in the show. Goldberg is 1-2 versus 1 disc. Just wanted to let everyone know. I don't know if you saw that comment.
I did not, but no,
Goldberg is 0-2.
Oh,
versus Windows. Just wanted to let everyone.
Yeah, we could talk about that because I saw the clip when he came out. I'll get to that later on, but yeah.
Yeah, we will cover that later in the show. Don't stick around. But back to number 3 is UCLA. And I know what people are going to say. Why? Deshaun Foster's not a good coach. Deshaun Foster did a lot with a little last year. And I felt like we talked about it a lot on the show.
We did, yeah.
He overachieved with what he had in year 1 at UCLA. Now you give him a quarterback like Nico, who is fairly consistent. And as I said earlier, I think this is a match made in heaven. Because he gets out of a rabid fan base like Tennessee, and he goes to UCLA, which is a smaller fan base. But yes, it's in California. And I feel like UCLA could be one of those sleeper teams that we talk about when we do our season preview for 2025.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Number 2 is another Big 12 team. And I think you just talked about it a second ago. Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a heck of a lot in the transfer portal. And I feel like they might win the Big 12 this year.
That'd be cool.
And I know we're only in June. And it's a little early to be saying that. But I do feel like Texas Tech has a good shot at winning the Big 12. And number 1 is another Big 10 team. No, it's not Indiana. No, it's not Michigan. But yes, I will be talking about Michigan in a second. It is USC. And this is a big year for Lincoln Riley. I don't feel like they're getting enough hype. Jaden Maeva came out of nowhere last year and led UCLA to a bowl game. I mean, USC, to a bowl game. And I feel like I know everybody's picking Penn State or picking Michigan, which is downright delusional. And I'll explain why it's delusional to pick Michigan to do anything this year in a minute. But I feel like USC is another team that's going to sneak up on people because they're going to say, oh, USC wasn't that good last year. I understand that. It's because Miller Moss was quarterback to start the year, and then Jaden Maeva took over. But now we get to our one bold prediction for the college football season. And what is your one bold prediction?
USF wins the AAC.
Okay. I mean, I don't know how bold that is. This one's bold. Southern Miss with our favorite coach, Mr. Tudor's Biscuits, Charles Huff, wins the Sun Belt.
I like that. I like that.
Who are your 5 most overhyped teams going into the 2025 college football season?
Number 5, the Clemson Tigers.
Explain why.
Well, first of all, Clemson always is high ranked because of their head coach and their success. They've had success in the past. He doesn't like to use the transfer portal, which that's one of the reasons.
He did this year.
Oh, he did this year, okay. Because
He got one player in the transfer portal.
That's one of the reasons why Nick Saban's no longer a head coach and he's on ESPN. But anyway, it's just, I think they get so much hype every year to win. I think the ACC is turning. I think SMU, even though they were in the championship game last year and lost, I think they win it this year. So I think they're overhyped.
Do you think Virginia Tech gets into the conference championship game?
Possibility. That's a possibility.
Georgia Tech, maybe.
Georgia Tech may be one of those, like you were talking earlier, Bud, about sleeper teams. Everyone counted Georgia Tech out last year. They went where they beat Florida State and they beat Miami, I believe.
Again for the second year in a row.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's not.
Well, and the year before last year, it was just stupidity on the part of Miami.
Miami, yep. I'll get to Miami here in a little bit. Number 4 is Tennessee. They are overhyped. Nico's gone. I know that Josh Heupel's a good head coach, and he's going to have his hands full. I don't think Tennessee is going to be as good as everyone predicts them to be. I think they're coming out in the preseason rankings at number 10. That's pretty high for a team that lost their biggest offensive weapon.
Well, you know what I'm going to say? I think it's because everybody's like, oh, they got Joey Aguilar from App State.
Yeah, but he's not.
Yeah, Nico. But that's a downgrade from Nico.
Yeah. The next team,
number 3.
Next team is another SEC team, and that's the Aggies of Texas A&M. For a while, this team, when they came into the conference, the SEC, they were highly ranked or hyped up then when they came in, and they've had a couple good seasons and stuff like that. But this year, I don't know. I don't. They're coming out like number 8 in the country. So again, very overhyped early on.
I think the only reason they're getting that much hype is because of Marcel Reed.
Yeah. And it was listed in my notes, but that he's a dual threat quarterback. So yeah, that's the reason why he's so high. The next one I'm surprised is on this list as far as overhyped, and that's LSU. And
yeah, I can see it because of Garrett Nussmeier.
And I mean, Brian Kelly's there, and he can either
Mr. Wannabe Louisianan.
Yeah, he can either be a great asset or your worst enemy. So it just depends on which Brian Kelly you get. So again, they're overhyped. They get too much hype. And Miami, enough. Until you guys can figure out your head coach issues. I mean, he was supposed to be the coming of Christ in Coral Gables, parting Moses, parting the Red Sea. And like my co-host said just a few minutes ago, A year ago, you fumbled the ball away and let Georgia Tech beat you. That's a coaching thing. That's not a player thing. That's a coaching problem. So, and you know what? Yeah, I know they
Their
got
defense also. Their defense has been atrocious the last couple of years.
They got Carson Beck. Congratulations. He's not even in Cam Ward's universe. And Cam Ward's now in the NFL. So, good luck, Miami. I really hope, honestly, that FSU beats you, even though I'm not an FSU fan either. But
I hope they do too.
So.
My 5 overhyped teams. Number 5. And yes, I know I'm an Ohio State fan, and I know I'm going to get some grief for this. Number 5 is Michigan. And it is simple. Who is their quarterback going to be? Because there's already been reports out of their camp that they don't like the mobility of Bryce Underwood. They think he lacks size. And they say he's immature. So, and then you got Mikey Keene that's in there, Jaden Davis, and then they just got a guy that's on his 4th school in the last 3 years, and Jake Garcia, a grad transfer from East Carolina. And I'm sorry, Michigan fans. I think you're going 8-5 again this year. I know y'all want to refuse that and say, no, we're going to make the playoff. We're going to beat Ohio State. You're not beating Ohio State again. You're not beating us for a 5th year in a row. It's not going to happen. You had your 3 years of fame. Just look at the overall series and who Ohio State still owns Michigan. You should have been saying Happy Father's Day to us on Sunday. Number 4 is the Alabama Crimson Tide in the SEC. And people are already saying, oh, Kalen DeBoer is Nick Saban 2.0. No,
I don't know if I go that far.
Thank you. That's what I was just about to say. I don't think I'd go that far yet.
Yeah,
it's still too early. And people are like, oh, Saban didn't go undefeated in his first year. No, he didn't. DeBoer didn't either. And I don't think DeBoer's going to go undefeated at all.
No, I don't. I think they're
The other reason they're overhyped is we don't know who their quarterback's going to be. Is it going to be Keelan Russell? Is it going to be Ty Simpson? Is it going to be Austin Mack? Whoever it is. I mean, Simpson, you would think it'd be Ty Simpson because he's the most experienced of those 3 guys. You really think they would want to throw a freshman quarterback in against Florida State week 1?
Be interesting.
Number 3 is the team you had on your list, Clemson. I'm sick and tired of Clemson fans whining and moaning and complaining. But, we should have been in the playoff. Oh, well, yeah, you were last year, and what happened? You lost. Huck to the back of the line. To you, that was a WWE reference for those of you that don't know. Can't remember exactly who said it.
Seth Rollins, I think.
Yes. It was, and I think he said it to CM Punk.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm tired of Clemson fans hopping on TikTok or any other social media and saying, oh, Cade Klubnik's the best quarterback in the country. He's not even top 10. The only reason he gets that much discourse is because of who his coach is.
Mm-hmm.
Put him at a group of 5 school. Put him somewhere else in the ACC. You wouldn't be talking about him as much. So that's number 4. Number 3. Number 2, and I'm sorry to do this, Colorado from the Big 12.
I forgot about them.
Sorry, primetime. You had your glow for those 2 years with Shador and Travis Hunter. which I still have beef to pick with the Heisman committee. Travis Hunter should not have won the Heisman. That was a travesty. But that's neither here nor there now. Colorado, I'm sick of them being ranked in the first rankings of the season just to lose. And everybody's like, oh, Colorado's back. If they do win week 1, Colorado's back. They don't need Shedeur. Who is their quarterback going to be? Is he going to be Caden Salter, or is he going to be the freshman, Juju Lewis? Number 1, I think everybody knows who the most overhyped team is going into 2025. Everybody, except for me, has them number 1 in their Big Ten rankings. They were a game away from the national championship last year. But of course, like they do every year, they choked it away to Notre Dame. It is Penn State. And I don't get the discourse on why people are saying, oh, Drew Aller is the best quarterback in the Big Ten. He's the most experienced because Ohio State's going to have a new quarterback. Michigan's going to have a new quarterback. I mean, Aiden Childs is back from Michigan State, and it's a year or two for Jonathan Smith. But I just don't get the hype around Penn State. And what have we learned anything from the past from overhyping Penn State?
Until James Franklin can win the big one, they have no place to talk.
No, and then people want honorable mention goes to Oregon because people are overhyping them too. And look what happened to them in the second round of the playoff. As Jacob Fatu likes to say, they got dog walked by Ohio State. And sorry to all the Michigan, to all the Ohio State dislikers out there, but Ohio State's going to be better than Michigan this year. So, and if Michigan somehow does beat Ohio State, I'll come on here and say Michigan's better, but I don't think it's going to happen this year. Now we get to the wrestling part of the show, and this is going to be longer because, oh boy, let's do our Monday Night Raw review, and let's start with the whole Goldberg and Gunther, because we have a comment that says Goldberg is 0-2 versus Windows. Just wanted to let everyone know. So tell them about the clip our viewer is referring to.
Well, if you guys watch when Goldberg came out, guys, he limps. If you watch the replay, Goldberg limps, dude. And here, I'm a Goldberg fan. Was when he was in the WCW, but the dude he's old. Gunther's gonna run circles around him. I know this was the match that he wanted. This is the match that Goldberg wanted to be his typical last retirement match or whatever. But Gunther's going to run circles around him. There's no way. If somehow, some way that the title gets put on the line, I know it's on Saturday night.
It is on the line, I heard.
So if he wins, what are you going to do?
Seth is probably going to cash in.
Cash in and Seth wins. Okay.
Or, and I like this idea better. Goldberg wins. Seth tries to cash in. And we get Roman. We get a return from Roman.
That could be true, too. I could also see if Goldberg does win, Braun Breaker then spears Goldberg. I could see that happening,
well,
too.
And you know what I read last night? That they're thinking of trying to get Goldberg's son to train to be a wrestler.
But I don't get that. He's seen better days. I mean, like I said, I'm a fan of his, and I will be for the longest time. But he's way past his prime. His prime years are way in the rearview window. So no.
Yeah. So anyway, let's start off with the opening segment of Raw. And you know, I know we hate on we dump on the Judgment Day. But before we start Raw review, I want to send my best wishes to Liv Morgan. She did get hurt. And I understand people are saying, oh, it's a work. It's a work. No, it's not a work. If you saw the replay, she was actually hurt. So from the Bradley and Alec show, our thoughts and prayers go out to Liv Morgan. Speedy recovery from your dislocated shoulder. But I think this is going to open the door for little Miss Roxanne Perez to weasel her way in the back door and become a part of the Judgment Day.
I think so too, but she's got a pretty big hill to climb because Io Sky,
literally and figuratively.
Io Sky is hot right now. Not only is she an attractive girl, but no, she's hot right now. And, you know, it's funny how you get to hear her. We all know that Io's not obviously American. She doesn't speak English all that well. So for her to go through what she's gone through as far as her mic skills and everything.
Yeah.
But if it's Roxanne Perez at Night of Champions, that's the next pay-per-view. Then yeah, but I mean, Io is just she's.
Well, let's start. I think that was the opening.
Yeah, it was Io. It was Liv Morgan going to talk to Io Sky with Dominic Mysterio. I believe was the opening.
I just love how Dominic's still getting booed.
But Dominic is a face. We all know that. You know, he's gone from heel to face, so
sort of,
yeah.
I think what's gonna happen, and I'm gonna talk about it when we do our people taking a title off of other people, is I think he's gonna fully turn face at SummerSlam.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
But let's finish. So that was. What would you rate that opening segment? I'm gonna say like 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
It was solid, but
not anything that was spectacular or anything like that. So no. Yeah, nothing. Not the greatest way to start a show off, and then of course with getting hurt for real. It's not a fake injury, guys.
It's not a work.
So, yeah. The next segment was the Queen of the Ring, and Asuka is back. It was cool to see Asuka back.
And there's already rumors circulating that her and Kyrie are going to reform the Kabuki Warriors, and they're going to be heels because everybody was trying to point out, oh, look at Asuka's gear. She's wearing the same gear that she wore before she got hurt. I don't think. I mean, they might do a mini Kabuki Warriors run, but not right now. Maybe later down the pike.
I could see, but if Liv Morgan hadn't gotten hurt, they would run them against Liv and Raquel Rodriguez for the titles. That's when Liv got hurt. I don't see them doing that.
Well, and then I think they were planning on trying to do Nikki Bella versus Liv at Night of Champions.
Yeah. Yep.
Which, Liv, I'm sorry if you didn't get that's not a fight you want to pick.
No.
Nikki Bella will whoop your behind. I give that Queen of the Ring match a 7 out of 10. It was hard hitting.
I want to say that
Rhea returned.
Mommy returned to screw over Raquel Rodriguez. Yep.
Raquel, how are you feeling? How your ribs feeling after 2 what's her finisher? Riptide. After 2 riptides. How your ribs feeling? How much for one of them ribs? Then what? Okay, not to skip around Raw review, but are we gonna get Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross?
I think so. I think so.
And I know, I don't know how do you feel about Karrion Kross?
Well, since he came back, I mean, but he's one of those guys, I think, and we could talk about that later too, but where he might be getting a push. He might be being pushed. And
did you notice his facial expressions, that whole interaction he had with Sammy? How it went from smiling to like just standing there staring at Sammy to his little sinister laugh he does.
And why not put him against Sami Zayn, who's doing outside of the blood?
You know what I think is going to happen? He's going to show up on SmackDown and cost Sammy
the King of the Ring
match against Randy and King of the Ring. And that's how we set up Sammy versus Karrion Kross.
Yep. Nope. I agree.
And yes, we do have a segment planned later on, ladies and gentlemen, for Barry or Push. And there's going to be some controversial names in it. And the New Day had a segment.
Yeah, that's right here, but
they had two segments actually.
They came out, I guess, according to my notes, they blasted the Green Bay fans because they were in Milwaukee, or Green Bay, I mean. They were with toilet paper and they were wearing cheese on their heads, like cheesehead hats.
I have one question. What in the name of Green Bay, Wisconsin, was Xavier Woods wearing?
That's a good question.
I've seen ugly dress attire and ugly outfits. Xavier Woods, explain, please. What was that abstrosity of an outfit you were wearing? It was awful. And then they ran down the whole tag team division. First of all, no, I'm not appreciative of the New Day. They don't deserve those titles. And I think, yes, I think Jay's going to get a rematch at SummerSlam, but I think they're trying to set up an Usos reunion so they can have the Usos run it back one more time with the New Day.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And they fumbled this heel run for the New Day.
Mm-hmm. I have a funny feeling that Big E's going to come back and screw them somehow. Somehow, some way. He's going to screw
people
them.
Want to say, I've seen videos on TikTok. People want to say, oh, Big E's never coming back. He's never going to get cleared. How do you know that?
Yeah, exactly.
One, how do you know that? Two, maybe he has been cleared. They're just waiting for maybe SummerSlam or the Royal Rumble next year
to bring him back.
I'd love to see it. It's SummerSlam. It's 2 nights. Have the New Day defend their titles on night 1 or night 2 and have him come back.
Yep, I like that.
And people want to keep saying, oh, Jon Moxley's going to come back. No. He has made it abundantly clear that he wants nothing, even if Vince isn't in charge, which I read something today where somebody said, oh, TKO and Ari Emanuel are just holding on to WWE and then they're going to sell it back to Vince. Keep dreaming.
Yep.
Vince has no business at all being near the WWE.
I agree.
He's a sick individual. That's all I'm going to say on that. And then I think, did Penta have a...
Let's see. Well, you had Gunther, and the Goldberg thing was after that. AJ Styles.
I don't know why they put the title back on Gunther. Like this, that would have been the perfect time to have Seth cash in.
Well, I mean, the funny thing about Seth Rollins is if you know, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but when you had, wasn't Cody Rhodes, I think maybe it's CM Punk. I don't know. Yeah, with CM Punk, and Seth comes out and looks, hey, I got the briefcase, John. I'm not afraid, because wouldn't that be the, you know what, if he cashes in on John Cena and not Gunther? So, just saying.
We're going to talk about SmackDown 2 a little in a few minutes, but I feel like Raw was good this week. But my question is, are they really teasing us here with Theory and Waller? Because the last 2 weeks we've seen backstage segments where Grayson Waller's talking to the New Day, and then Austin Theory comes in. Please split them up. Grayson Waller, I hate to say this, he needs to either go back down to NXT or be released. He's a waste of space. And if you release him or let him go, you can bring back Braun Strowman. You can bring back somebody that was released.
Right.
That didn't deserve to be released, like Dakota Kai or Braun Strowman. Or Joe Coffey, who I read today is landlocked in the U.S. He can't go back to his home country.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But Raw was 8.5 out of 10.
I would say, but yeah, that's what all the reviews that I read, it was 8. Yeah, that's what they rated it. I think last week's Raw was better than this past Monday, from what I've read.
Yeah.
It better last week than they did this week's.
So now, before we get to, we're going to do SmackDown, ladies and gentlemen, and then we're going to do who we have dethroning every champion. So, and this is just an overall review of SmackDown. No notes. Something's off with Solo. And I'm not trying to joke around or anything. I think he's got something up his sleeve.
Well, he just lost the Samoan werewolf, so.
He's got something that's 6'8", that was supposed to debut in NXT, that debuted on Main Event, and they said that he was supposed to debut on SmackDown and attack Jacob Fatu, but the only reason it didn't happen is because this was a pre-taped episode of SmackDown.
Okay.
And I'm talking about Hikuleo. And that there's it's supposed to set up the Tongans to come back and side with Jacob. I love Solo's face. That entire when Jacob, when he walks up the ladder and Jacob grabs his leg and Solo turns around and says, "What are you doing?" Both of us called this a long time ago. We said it was only a matter of time. And I think Jacob was listening to Solo's chat he was having with JC Mateo 2 weeks ago, where he said, "Oh, Jacob's all gas, no brains with it."
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I think Jacob kept that in the back of his head. He's like, oh, so Solo said this about me. You know what? I'm going to get him back at Money in the Bank. I'm going to cost him. Even though neither of us wanted the Solo to win, it would have been the most hilarious thing ever if he did.
Yep.
But and they're saying, oh, he's going to become a babyface. He needs to stay a heel and stay away from the title scene. If he's going to have a match with Jacob at SummerSlam, it does not need to be for the title. It needs to be a non-title match because there's a boatload of other people that deserve to be in the title scene for the U.S. title. Yeah, and not to throw us off, but is LA Knight now on Raw?
Did he switch? I didn't know. Did he?
He's attacked Braun Breaker. He's attacked Bronson Reed. And he's attacked Seth. I think he needs to be over on Raw so he can get away from the bloodline stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like that just took a lot out of him. And then people are saying, oh, Drew, when he comes back, he needs to be a champion again. No. Drew is unbearable to watch. He needs to be nowhere near the title. And then the other thing, should Rod Killings win a title?
Yes.
Does he beat Cena on Friday?
Yes, I think he does. I think since he's gone from R-Truth back to Ron Killings, yes, because he's got the hype. He's angry. He's pissed off. Yes.
I say yes to both. And there's people out there saying, oh, what if Ron Killings is just playing us and he turns heel and does the funniest thing and joins Cena and then eventually gets Cena to turn babyface again?
That'd be kind of weird, but I mean, that might happen.
And then there's people saying that, oh, the babyface side of Cena is still stuck in the Firefly Funhouse. I mean, I wouldn't doubt that. Because you notice before Cena went away the last time, he was a babyface. But then he got into the Firefly Funhouse match with Bray. And ever since he's came back, he has been a dastardly heel.
Mm-hmm.
I know people don't want to hear this. Punk and Cena, that should be at SummerSlam. That should not be at Night of Champions.
I agree.
It is just, it's disgusting that it's at night. It's not I think they're going to have 2 or 3 matches. I don't think this is a one match thing with Punk and Cena.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cena's going to try to cheat, which this is another heel run that they've really failed with. Especially since The Rock doesn't want to be a part of it.
Yeah. The one who started it all.
Dwayne, where you at? You, as CM Punk likes to say, you bald fraud.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, Cody, they want... I don't get it. People still want Cody to turn heel. Keep dreaming.
Yeah.
Keep dreaming. It's not going to happen anytime soon. He is the biggest baby face in the company.
Yep.
And here's the thing. I think the end game is Cena versus Cody. Cody wins the title back. And then Cena turns babyface. And that's how he finishes out his run. And then we get Cody versus Punk. And Punk wins the title at some point.
I like that.
I do too. What a match on NXT we had between Obafemi and Jasper Troy. Two big fellas. Or as Booker T likes to say, there's a lot of beef in the ring. Those are like, I don't know if you saw the highlights.
I did not, but I didn't get a chance to watch NXT. Funny thing is, I didn't watch NXT, but I watched TNA. So there you go.
Yeah, two locomotive trains going head to head. Just imagine that in your head.
Well, can you see Obi or Trick being called up soon? I know Trick is the TNA champion, but
they are not happy.
yeah, I know.
With Trick.
Because they're not happy with that situation at all.
And I don't understand why Mike Santana got suspended for 2 weeks. That I know it's probably part of a storyline, but somebody please take the title off Trick. He doesn't move the needle.
Give it back to the guy he beat.
Or let Joe Hendry come to the WWE.
Well, that I could see that happening.
I feel like they're gonna once Joe Hendry's contract is up with TNA. I feel like they're gonna reignite that feud between him and Trick.
NXT.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, on the main roster.
On the main roster, okay.
And I've heard people want Drew and AJ to go back over to TNA.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm. It would make sense for AJ because I think he was supposed to be put in the TNA Hall of Fame either this year or last year. Drew, I don't really see it.
Yeah, I could see, like you said, I could see more AJ than I could see Drew. Yeah.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get to a segment we like to call Who is going to dethrone every champion? And we're going to start with the World Heavyweight title. And I will go first. Gunther's the current champion. I see two people that can unseat the Ring General. And it is Seth Rollins with that Money in the Bank case. Or the second one is Dominic Mysterio.
Okay.
Who are yours? Who are your?
I have my number one would be the Jacob Fatu. It's got to be if he ends up losing the United States Championship. I think it's Jacob Fatu, and else I like too is Damian Priest. He had a great match with Drew McIntyre, so I could see either Fatu or Priest if Goldberg doesn't do it on Saturday night. So.
This isn't good. What were you saying?
I said Damian Priest or Jacob Fatu. What are my two?
Yeah, I could see both of those. WWE champion, which is Cena right now. Can you hear him?
I can hear you, but yeah, it's all broke up.
Who is your choice to dethrone?
I would say either Cody Rhodes or CM Punk are my two.
So then we get to the women's world champion, Io Sky. I have two. No, I have one. And it's somebody that I don't think anybody has talked about dethroning her. Stephanie Vicaire.
Oh, okay. The former Intercontinental champion. Okay.
No, the former NXT
NXT
champion.
champion. That's right. That's right.
And you think people better be lucky that Booker T's not on the main roster. He goes crazy when Stephanie Vicaire does the thing where she puts somebody between her legs and bounces them off the.
Yes, I've seen the clips. The clips of those. Yes. Yeah.
Booker. Oh, who do you have dethroning Miss Io Sky?
I'm gonna go with either Naomi or Jade Cargill.
Oh, I forgot about Naomi. She has that lovely Money in the Bank.
Yeah, she's got the Money in the Bank case. So yeah. Yep.
Who do you have? Next one is the WWE Women's Championship, and it's Tiffy time. I think Alexa Bliss dethrones Tiffany Stratton.
I would say either her or Bud or Bailey. I could see Bailey doing that too.
Look, we get to the women's IC title. Becky Lynch holds it right now. And I've got two names that I think can take the title off of Becky. One of them is Bailey, and she's getting a title match at, I believe it's next week on Raw, or it's at Night of Champions. And the other one I could see, and there's people throwing a rumor around that she's going to cost Bailey the title. She's going to cost Bailey her title match next week. And then it's going to become a triple threat match at Night of Champions. Lyra. And Lyra's going to turn heel and rejoin Becky. I don't see it. I don't. Can you see that?
No, but Bailey would be. I would say Bailey, and I'm going to say Nikki Bella, since she's back.
Okay.
So
women's U.S. title, which is held by Selena Vega. I think Julia takes the title off of Selena.
That's who I had too. But yep.
And then we get to the tag team on SmackDown. It's a Street Profits right now. Rotunda would be proud of me. I'm at a 6.
I would say the Wyatt 6 or the Motor Machine Guns would be my 2.
Raw tag titles. New Day has them. I think the War Raiders or the Usos take the titles off of the New Day.
I agree. Yep.
Then we get to the U.S. title. Jacob Fatu holds it right now. I think he loses it to Solo, or this next name is going to surprise you. Cody Rhodes.
Okay.
Who do you have?
I have Ron Killings and Braun Breaker. Because I think if Seth gets a title, he'll want to put a title on Braun and Bronson Reed. I don't know how that's going to work.
What I've heard is that they may put Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker in a tag team and have them take tag titles out the New Day, which, as much as I hate Rollins right now, I wouldn't mind that. Anybody else but the New Day deserves the titles.
I agree.
And I'm sorry, don't get in Bronson Reed's way unless you want to be tsunami'd.
Mm-hmm.
That's 330 pounds coming down on you. No thanks. And then the IC title. Dominic Mysterio currently holds it. And this is why I said you should wait for later on in the show. I think Finn is going to take the IC title off of Dom. And that turns Dominic completely babyface. And we see Dominic form his own Judgment Day, whether it be with Roxanne Perez, whether maybe it's with Rhea again, and they get the original Judgment Day back together with Rhea and Damian, and then they go up against Finn's Judgment Day with JD and Liv, or Liv and Raquel.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have to find somebody else. Dominic would have to find somebody else to add to his. But I mean, he shouldn't have a problem with that, seeing as how many girls he's gone through.
Yep.
Who do you have taking the title off of Dominic?
Either Rusev or Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah, Rusev, I can see. I've heard rumors that they're not going to resign. They're not going to renew Shinsuke's contract.
Do you see him going to AEW?
No, I can see him going to back to New Japan.
Man.
AEW has too many people. And as much as I love the ops with Samoa Joe, I still feel like Samoa Joe's being underutilized.
Yeah, true.
And I wish Tony Khan would just let him go, because we know he's a triple Samoa Joe. And I had to, when I met Samoa Joe, very nice guy. I had a conversation with him. I'm like, not saying what happened at the time. I'm like, if you ever left WWE and went to another company, whether it be TNA, because he was in TNA at one point.
Correct.
And I'm like, would you go back to TNA, or if maybe Tony Khan or somebody started up a new promotion and you went there and didn't like it, would you think about coming back to WWE? And without hesitating, he said yes, he would come back because he loves Triple H, which makes sense because who was running NXT when Samoa Joe was in WWE?
Triple H.
And he was on, yeah. So I could see the door being wide open for Samoa Joe to come back. Maybe Hook, if Taz wants to get out of AEW. Darby, any of those guys, even Jericho, as much as both of us hate Jericho.
Hook would be a good one. Do you think
He's
if
young.
Hook came back, they would bring Princess Nana with him? Or do you think Hook just comes back by himself?
Oh, you're thinking of Swerve.
Sure, I'm sorry, Swerve. Wrong guy. Sorry. I'm thinking
Hook, they would bring Taz back. They would have to.
Okay.
I think it'd be a package deal. Swerve, highly doubt he's going to come back. He's been on so many podcasts where he's talked massive amounts of garbage about WWE and how they treated him and how they treated Hit Row. Which, funny thing is, who else was in Hit Row that's now in TNA? AJ Francis, who made his return back to WWE last week on NXT. So, I mean, maybe if Swerve could mend fences, I could maybe see him coming back to WWE, but it's a long shot. Now we're going to get to Push or Barry. First one, Finn Balor. Barry.
I was going to say it would hurt me to say Push, but I'll say Barry.
Los Garza. They're a tag team on SmackDown. I'm going to say
Push.
Push, but get him away from Santos Escobar.
Yeah.
Pretty Deadly, who we've barely seen.
Barry.
Push and Barry.
Yeah.
Because they get put in stuff and then it's like 1 week, oh, they're in a feud with MCMG. Next week, you don't see them. Um, McDonough.
I would say push, even though I know he's with Finn.
Come away.
But he's coming off injury, so I think I'd push him because of the injury thing.
Push him too. I'm away from Finn. I watching him came to NXT. He was as quote the great Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. They were attacked. Bang. He was putting on 5-star matches every week on NXT when he was a singles competitor before he got put into the Judgment Day. So I would say push. Perez.
I'm sorry. Was it
Roxanne Perez?
Push.
Put a rocket ship on her and push her to the moon.
Yep.
Becky Lynch.
I would hate to say Barry because she's the title holder now. And she's still a draw, even though they boo her now. So I would say a slight push. But yeah.
Barry,
okay.
Because she's out of her prime.
True. That's true.
Rusev.
Push.
Brought Sheamus.
Push. Let him win the Intercontinental Championship. Let him close that out before he hangs.
Let him finish his story, as everybody likes to say.
Yep.
Bronson Reed.
Push. Even though it hurts me to say that.
Push. Charlotte Flair.
Barry.
Big time. Chelsea Green.
Push. You got to push Chelsea Green.
And it's gonna wrap. They will still have on Thursday. I'll not be in for that. Our show turns next week.
Next Tuesday.
But Bradley and Alec, the Alec show regular now on Tuesday and Thursday until call seasons. So we will see episode of Bradley and Alex next Tuesday. Get back from my trip on Friday, but it won't be till the afternoon. And I don't know if what Bradley's got planned.
I got a baseball Friday night.
Yep. So we will see everybody Tuesday.
See you then, guys.